Whoosh, bam, boom! Suddenly, Maleminous out of nowhere! It's just me, your friendly overthinking brony that overanalyzes a cartoon show intended for 7 to 12-year-old girls. Today, we're gonna find out just what makes Luna and Celestia so darn special, and if they are immortal, and if they are, why? So stay tuned as I dissect the most horse-famous equines in all of Equus. Now, a lot of you are just gonna go ahead and go, we already know why they're immortal, and that they are immortal. They've lived for thousands of years without aging, and they are the most powerful beings in the entire world. First off, no. Simply because something hasn't changed the way it looks, doesn't mean it's not aging. Aging is caused by a plethora of things, but mainly it's caused by errors. Each time a cell replicates, it has to transmit the exact same sequence of about 3 billion nucleotides to its daughter cells. This obviously has some room for error. 3 billion is a pretty gosh darn high number. Luckily, repair enzymes recognize structural imperfections between improperly paired nucleotides, cutting out wrong pieces and putting in the new ones. Obviously, our body still makes errors though. This is completely natural and bound to happen. Perhaps Celestia though is just more in tune with catching wrong pairings. Her body could just simply be naturally fitted to fight off imperfections, giving her an extremely long-lasting life. However, this would be horribly convenient if it was only for these two alicorns. Now, then again, there are only about 4 that we know of. Not counting Chrysalis, who is more in tune with an insect rather than an equine. And it was stated that Twilight, being the most recent alicorn, will not outlive her friends, either meaning her friends also will develop these special repair enzymes, and maybe that means they all become alicorns, which I think the fandom would explode if that happens. Or simply becoming an alicorn doesn't grant you these repair enzymes. Now, Mother Phallus, peace be upon her, stated that Celestia and Luna were born alicorns. However, we also see that Cadence, at least from what we can tell from a very young age, was also an alicorn, which grew up into becoming a princess. However, sadly, all this amounts to absolutely nothing. Why? Because the show has already shown us that it's not afraid to spit in the face of its creators and say, na 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 boo boo, I do what I want. Because we've already seen such deviations from the actual original vision that Phallus had for the show and what we currently see. So simply going off of what the writer says in this kind of format, such as a tweet, isn't 100% reliable. Well, moving on to the power. Yes, it's no secret that they are certainly powerful, but how powerful isn't quite clear. We've seen Celestia up to a certain point during the Kinderlot wedding is kind of like a god figure. Nothing seems to be able to touch her, yet she seems to rely heavily upon using Twilight to fight her battles. Now, this could simply be because she wants to train Twilight to take over for her, but that would imply that Celestia would, at one point, cease to exist. But, hold it right there. I already know what you're thinking, and I'm gonna tell you right now, I can't even discern it. What you're most likely about to say is, obviously they're powerful, they're moving celestial bodies. But here's the thing. I have no idea what the solar system of Equus looks like. Let me lay it out for you. Our sun, for those of you who for some reason don't know this, is the center of our solar system. We orbit the sun. The sun has a massive gravitational pull that keeps us in a slightly elliptical rotation. We are right now in what is called a Goldilocks zone. Pretty much not too hot and not too cold. What essentially, if their solar system was like ours, is Celestia is not moving the sun, but she's moving Equus, Earth, essentially. Because the sun would be a fixed point, and Earth would be going around it. Now, the only way that I can see that she would actually be moving the sun would be if the sun was actually smaller than the Earth in mass. Or further away, that Earth's would not be completely affected by its gravitational pull. So, Phillies and Chinnocoats, what exactly will be able to heat the planet, be far away enough that it's not going to affect it gravitationally, and can be free-formed around the Earth, or Equus? Well, you could go the dwarf star. It may be small, but it contains a large amount of energy, and while the sun might be depicted as yellow in the show, think of the white being Celestia's coat. But there has to be something there, something hot enough that it's going to be able to drive the forces of nature on Equus. There's obviously an atmosphere, and one that's not just controlled by magic, hence Leverfee's wild weather. Our sun is an intricate part in our climate. It amounts for most of the energy that drives our weather. No sun, no weather, desolation and mayhem on Equestria. Luna kinda gets the free pass for this one, because really she really could just control the orbit of the moon. And there's a whole bunch of complicated mathematics that go along with moving objects in zero gravity. Far too complex for me to actually get into. But here's a little something for you. Remember in the founding of Equestria, before Luna and Celestia were even apparently thought of, the sun and moon were raised by unicorns. Yes, average, everyday unicorns. And this was before organized magical schools as well, as far as we can tell. So that means it just took a couple of unicorns to be able to control both celestial bodies. So even then, they're just simply not as powerful as you may think. But even if you're there saying that their power is enough to keep them alive somehow, remember the last episode of Season 4. Every drop of their power, every single ounce of their magic was taken from them and given to Twilight. If their magic was what was keeping them alive, they should have turned to dust right then and there. But they didn't. They simply became weaker, more mortal. Also, we've seen a bunch of things actually take over and overpower the two sisters. From, well, Sombra to Discord to Tirok. Really, the only thing that gave them the edge that allowed them to take over these other deities and spirits were the elements of harmony. The elements of harmony being no longer in the possessions of, well, technically anyone, was the key to most of their victories. So, this being said, a large portion of the two sisters' powers were immediately gone once the elements of harmony were sealed away. Don't get discouraged though. This isn't a bad thing. In fact, it adds even more character to these people than ever before. Because they make mistakes, they fall down, And you know that old expression? Once they fall off the horse, or pony in this case, they get right back on. They don't let their past mistakes stop them from enjoying what's in front of them. Because hey, maybe they don't even realize how long they have left. So they're making every day count. They're not just counting days. As always, it has been a pleasure. This was Moliminous. Be sure to like and comment. Click subscribe to join the herd today.